Good morning and welcome to the Daily Connect. My name is Raymond and I'm so glad you could be a part of this time together. We're looking at God's Word. We're seeing where the Lord is leading us and who the Lord is calling us to be. My apologies for a little bit of a technical challenge this morning. Equipment, we're just trying to shake out some of the little gremlins and getting it all working together. But I'm back and we're ready to go. Today we're going to be looking at the book of Deuteronomy once again, and we're going to be visiting kind of a somewhat familiar topic, somewhat of a topic that may seem out of place in the context of what we've been reading. And the thing about it is that they all serve a purpose. They all come together to really speak of what God is wanting to do in the context of building a brand new culture, a new community within Israel, as they are about to go into the promised land, and as they're going to dispossess all these people. They've got to have the framework, the groundbreaking plan of what this community, what this culture is supposed to look like, and how it's functioning. And it's all based on the Ten Commandments. And so without further ado, we're going to take a look at Deuteronomy chapter 25. I almost forgot there. All right. So with that, good morning to each and every one of you. Thank you for joining and sharing in this time together. As you join, I want to encourage you, pop in, say hi, and let's encourage one another that we are in this together. All right, let's get into it. Deuteronomy chapter 25. We're going to start from verse 5. And we're only going to cover a handful of verses today, but it's something good to wrestle with, and it's something that I believe applies to us today. So let's take a look at Deuteronomy chapter 25. Again, going through the book of Deuteronomy, and I titled this Expected Family Duty. Expected Family Duty. Keeping the blessings in the family. Deuteronomy chapter 25, verses 5 through 10. Let's take a look. Starting from verse 5. If brothers dwell together, and one of them dies and has no son, the wife of the dead man shall not be married outside of the family to a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in to her and take her as his wife and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her. And the first son whom she bears shall succeed in the name of his dead brother, that his name may not be blotted out of Israel. Wow. Lots to process there. and a couple things to really consider. First off, that mention of brothers dwelling together. We want to make sure we understand this in the proper context. It's not necessarily saying that all the brothers are going to be living in the same house, but it is to say that maybe they're in the same camp, maybe they're in the same, maybe they do live in the same tent or same house. Or perhaps they live in the same vicinity, in the same township. Whatever it may be, you have, one of the big things is family is very big in Israel, and really in God's eyes. But you have the family living close or near to each other. And then also, you have a condition here where a man is married to a woman, and for unknown reasons, he passes away. Perhaps he dies in battle, or whatever, or perhaps he was killed in an accident. Whatever the case may be, he is left without a son, a male heir, and as a result, his brother, at least this commandment here, his brother is to take on the role of carrying on the family name in place of that deceased brother. And so his brother, which is most likely the next eldest, who happens to be unmarried, is to aid in helping this widow carry on with the next generation, to have that inheritance be passed on through the son, through the first son at the very least. Now, as you're pondering this, and if you've been following the live stream for a while, this may bring up some interesting questions and challenges, right? And so the first son here will become the heir for the dead brother, not for the next eldest brother, the brother who's taking over the role here. And so the first son now becomes the heir for that first brother, to continue the family name and to continue the inheritance. Again, this is in the context of every single family, every single tribe is going to receive a land inheritance from God. And that land inheritance is going to get passed down from one generation to the next. And a lot of the commandments that we read earlier were focused around trying to keep that family inheritance within the family, right? You don't want it to be sold off. You don't want it to be sold because of indebtedness, or married out of the family. The important thing here is to try to keep it within the family, along the male heirs. What else do we see? We see that this is, and again, if depending on your translation, this is the law of Levir, and Levir is Latin for husband's brother, or in some translations, brother-in-law. But the focus here is that family duty, that family responsibility of carrying on the family name. And in this case, it is through the husbandry for this within this family. And this connects with the Ten Commandments, at least a part of it. And so we're talking about not having someone outside. Again, just taking a step back, the 10th commandment is not to covet your neighbor's wife. The focus here is that wife is to, in a sense, remain within the family, the husband's family, to carry on the inheritance. And the conflict comes up with this may be, and again, if you've been following along through the live stream, we talked about this in the book of Numbers chapter 27. There you had a certain situation where the daughters of a particular tribe, that particular family had no sons, and as a result, the daughters were bringing this matter up before Moses, saying, "Hey, are we going to be left out of the inheritance because we don't have a brother, or we don't our father did not have a son?" And Moses made a declaration from God saying, if a family has no sons, then the inheritance passes through the daughters. And so this particular section seems to conflict with what was declared or mentioned in in Numbers chapter 27. So some people may be looking at this and saying, wait a minute, how does this work? If a family does not have a son, then shouldn't the brother come in and assume the role of what the deceased brother originally had, which is to bear a son, to continue the family name? Or, if the family has daughters, then maybe it should just continue through the daughters. But perhaps what we're talking about here is a family with no children, and within that, of course, no sons to pass this inheritance on. So that may be the true answer here. In a situation where the husband has died, leaving no heirs whatsoever, no son, no daughters, and the husband's brother, the nearest eldest brother who is unmarried, is to then assume the role, take the wife as his own, and bear a son and continue the family name. And it makes sense when you think about the book of Ruth. That is the scenario, the kinsman redeemer, if you will. That's where we saw the matter unfold and become, in a sense, lived out. Because when we look at Ruth, Ruth did not have any children. Ruth was, in fact, a Moabite, married to an Israelite, to a Hebrew, and the husband passed away, and Ruth focused on just living with Naomi, the mother-in-law. But eventually we would see the story unfold to become Boaz being that kinsman redeemer. And as I mentioned, the story of Ruth here. All right, let's continue. Or I should say, let's finish this up. Looking at verse 7. And if the man does not wish to take his brother's wife, then his brother's wife shall go up to the gate to the elders and say, my husband's brother refuses to perpetuate his brother's name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of a husband's brother to me. Then the elders of his city shall call him and speak to him, and if he persists, saying, I do not wish to take her, then his brother's wife shall go up to him in the presence of the elders and pull his sandal off his foot and spit in his face. And she shall answer and say, so shall it be done to the man who does not build up his brother's house. And the name of his house shall be called in Israel, the house of him who had his sandal pulled off. Now, looking at this, it may seem a little comical. A man walking around without a sandal may have been a sign of great shame. But let's take a look at this. So here we have even more specific scenario. Again, the first part of this was a specific example of how the 10th commandment is to be lived out, and within the context of the family, within the context of marriage. And we get even more specific. Here, let's just say that the brother does not step up to take on that role for whatever reason, and he's persistent about it. He does not want to take on the role of carrying on his brother's family name, and even by today's standards, a lot of people would be hard pressed to fulfill upon that. But back then, family being so important, for a brother to say no to this, it's quite a statement. It is a very big statement. And even after the council of the town elders, if this brother persisted, then the widow is to take one of his sandals, spit on his face, and effectively curse him as an unfaithful brother. And this brother would then, not having a sandal on his foot is a sign of shame. And his offspring, his subsequent generation, would be known as a family of the unsandaled. Excuse the misspelling there. Of the unsandaled, essentially forfeiting any claims to the brother's estate. So not only are you locked out of any inheritance or anything to be received from that brother. Again, if you go back to to Numbers 27, it outlines the progression of the inheritance, of which the brother is named as one of the ones in line to receive the inheritance if the family has no male heir, it has no daughters, and on and on. In this case, the brother has been removed from that line of inheritance because he would not fulfill upon it. Again, we see this in the book of Ruth chapter 4 specifically, where Boaz's brother, who is a near kinsman redeemer to the deceased husband, refuses to take on the role, and as a result, if you read Ruth 4, he did indeed lose a sandal, but in that case, he actually surrendered the sandal. Ruth did not go and take the sandal or spit in his face, which is probably a nice thing to do. But in any case, you have here a situation where that brother has effectively been written out of the deceased brother's will, his estate. And then finally, we see that here, this family duty is not mandatory, but it is expected. There is an expectation of this role to be fulfilled. It's not mandatory. The brother here had the option of saying no to all of this and opting out completely. And so while on the one hand it is not mandatory, there is this strong expectation of doing the right thing, of being that brother to fulfill upon that family duty of carrying on the family name, or at least the deceased brother's name. Wow. So we don't want to get too bogged down by the little details, the nitty-gritty of this particular law. If we were to take a step back, what are we really seeing here? What is God's heart in all of this? This is one of the big things that I want to emphasize. Anytime we read passages from the Old Testament, we want to understand, number one, the context, the immediate context, kind of step into that culture, and then take a step back and understand God's heart in all of this, especially for us in light of Jesus Christ. What is it that we're taking away from all this? For me, it's this. Expected family duties in God's community are for the sake of keeping the blessings for the next generations. What am I saying in all this? One of the big things that we may be seeing today is the breakdown of family, the breakdown of the importance of family, the breakdown of traditional. I mean, and it shouldn't be understood traditional. It's the proper standard of marriage, the proper standards for being a husband and wife, of being a father, as a mother. In all these quote unquote traditional roles, there are expected behaviors, expected roles that we are to fulfill upon. These are things that really allow God's blessings to be kept inside the family. And it makes sense when you think about it. When the traditional roles of marriage are broken, then you have the breakdown of families, you have the breakdown of God's blessings, and all of these things fall apart. Here in this case, in this instance about observing, in a sense, part of the 10th commandment, we see effectively the breakdown of the community, breakdown of the family. And if that is the case, then people are going to, in this case, the brothers, or the brother is going to be written out of at least a portion of the blessings that the Lord had for this family. And this brother who did not fulfill upon his duty is then going to be, in a sense, laid a curse, walk in shame. Same thing for us today. If we don't uphold those family traditions, those family rules and roles, if we don't adhere to God's design for marriage, marriage being between a husband and a wife, the understood roles, and even I'll go as far as saying the genders and everything. If these are broken, the roles as defined by God are broken, then we get excluded from His blessings. That's what I'm seeing when I look upon this passage and I reflect upon God's heart and all of this in light of Jesus Christ. All of these things really point to the loss of blessings when the rules and the roles are broken. Amen. All right. Once again, thank you everyone for sharing in this time together. And thank you everyone, every single one of you, Rich, Jeanette, Jenny, Tevin, Missy, Esther, Joanna. You guys are awesome. Thank you for setting aside a part of your day, giving it over to the Lord, and and just spending it looking at His Word, and really walking away with better understanding of God's heart. I really believe that God's going to bless you for setting aside this time and giving it over to Him. Let's continue to pray for all these different people that we have been that the Lord, whose names the Lord brings into our hearts and our minds. Let's continue to pray for them throughout this day. Let's also continue to reflect on this passage. It seems kind of awkward. It seems a little bit different, but what family roles are we expected to live out today? I want to challenge us in reflecting on that, reminding ourselves of that, and ultimately to live it out. To live it out to the best that we can. Therein lies the blessings that come from that. All right. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. It's Friday. That means it's time for WOW, Weekend of Worship. I really pray that each and every one of us are going to have a powerful weekend of worship as we go into this day. Have a great one. I love you guys. I look forward to seeing you all soon. Take care.